And now to Western Australia and an idea that aims to turn the hurt of the past on its head. A local Aboriginal group is hoping to transform some of the state's old missions into healing centres for the stolen generations. And, as Claire Moody reports, the project is being run from a surprising location.
Surrounded by farmlands in Western Australia's Great Southern lies an abandoned mission called Carrolup. It used to be home to hundreds of Aboriginal children who'd been removed from their families, but today Jim Morrison is focused on its future rather than its past.
I think a lot of people won't come back, and if you look around, well, I don't see why they would. The place is a mess. So we've got to make it attractive and make people want to come back to address their baggage, get the monkey off their back.
The Noongar man, whose mother was sent here, is behind a push to transform the old mission into a cultural healing centre for the stolen generations and their families.
53% of the kids in out-of-home care are currently Aboriginal. Well, you can bet your life that their grandparents were probably in a place like this.
And this is the room where most of us boys used to live in.
Gary Ryder's one of the walking wounded. He was sent here as a baby when it was known as Marribank.
My memories was good times and bad times. This was my home, that's all I knew. And I had made many friends. I've seen them come and I've seen them go.
He's partially deaf and wears a hearing aid, which he attributes to the abuse he suffered here.
I had 2 sharp pencils in my ear, shoved in my ear, by one of the missionaries.
Despite that, the 60-year-old says he got a good education, and being sent away from the mission at the age of 12, back to a family and culture he didn't know, was devastating.
It was the saddest day of my life. We all cried, and because we sort of had one big family, that we loved each other, we cared for each other, we looked after one another for all these years. And parting away was the hardest thing we ever did.
The irony's not lost on Jim Morrison that he's trying to heal the pain from an unlikely location.
Look, when I first came here, Claire, I was physically sick. I had to catch a plane the next day and I couldn't, I had to cancel. So it made me ill, just knowing what took place here.
He's running the ambitious Healing Centres project from the former office of WA's Chief Protector of Aborigines, who sent hundreds of children to the state's missions and so-called native settlements.
It really is taking back our history. We see it as a wonderful opportunity to reverse that trauma, you know, to heal our people and return these places of trauma to cultural learning places. This is it. This is the office of A.O. Neville.
Today, his mother Maisie and friend Edith are visiting. Both were sent to Carrolup as children.
Our people haven't healed yet, you know.
A lot of us haven't, no.
It's something that is really needed because...
and it's something that we will carry to our grave.
Jim Morrison says the healing centre's needed because so little progress has been made. Next year marks the 20th anniversary of the Bringing Them Home report, but only about a quarter of its recommendations have been implemented. The Healing Centre at Carrolup would offer a range of programmes that ultimately aim to address high rates of substance abuse and suicide in Aboriginal communities.
We don't believe the Western ideals around health is going to be suitable for us. We're the oldest living culture on this planet, and we obviously survive for good reasons. So it's about revitalising our culture to look at some of that potential, which is not in the Western model.
Sadly, much of this old mission has fallen into disrepair, and it will take government and private sector funding to fix it. But the Bringing Them Home committee says it makes financial sense.
Indigenous incarceration is $500,000 per person. You know, juvenile detention, and the cost of juvenile detention is $300,000. To me, a lot of money is being wasted, so we're offering an alternative.
The facility will be redeveloped under a joint agreement with Curtin University, which is also producing a documentary on its history, including the remarkable paintings created by children here. The university's architecture students will be involved in the transformation of the site.
This is a wonderful opportunity for students working in the built environment, working in architecture, but I think it fits absolutely perfectly with something that we're deeply committed to as an institution, and that is Indigenous reconciliation.
Another West Australian mission called Wandering is also earmarked for a healing centre. Jim Morrison hopes once the model's up and running, others will follow.
If there's a cluster of healing centres on Noongar country, I'll be happy, but then it's about empowering other Aboriginal people to, if they see this as a solution, well, we're here to help them as well.
All the children come in, yeah, the children come in.
Gary Ryder thinks it's worth a go. He first returned to his childhood home a few years ago and can vouch for the healing power.
Yes, I understand a lot of them committed suicide because of the pain they was going through, but they could have talked about it. But we cannot force them to come back. If they did try, you know, we can help them. Being together, being back like brothers and sisters as we always were.
Yes, I came back.
Claire Moody from WA.